Hey there, Audi S3 Fanatics. It's Peter, your Audi S3 Fanatic. So you're probably wondering, why am I sitting in my car, in my garage, in the dark? Well, today's project is a project that has been long overdue, and I'm sorry that it's taken me such a long time. But what we're going to go ahead and do today is overhead center console ambient lighting that casts a shadow down to your center console. Now, most modern Audi vehicles, I should even say most European cars and even some American cars, have the ambient lighting on the center console that shines down into the lower console itself. So to have our S3s not have anything, come on Audi, get with the time. It's a great feature that adds just a subtle touch to the car, but is so nice to have. That is what I'm going to show you guys how to accomplish today. So I wanted to go ahead and cover with you guys the items that you're going to need for the overhead center console ambient project. Now, if you're West Coast, I don't know if the East Coast has it, but if you're close to a Fry's Electronics, or even like a Radio Shack, or if you like, you can even order some of these items directly from Amazon. Now, for the miscellaneous items, I ordered mine directly from Amazon, and for the LED itself, I have been using Oznium's LED lighting simply because I love them. They're bright and they're relatively inexpensive. Now, for the ones that we'll use for the overhead, you are going to purchase 2 of these 5mm lighting LED bullets from Oznium. Now, it's very crucial that you choose the LED with a very small or shallow depth of view. And what I mean is, some lights will, for instance, the LED itself will cast lighting at 180 degrees. In my testing, I found that that type of LED does not produce very good lighting when it's shining down from the center console into your lower console itself. So these Ozniums are actually a shallow depth where I believe it's roughly 30 degrees of the beam coming down, which provides a much more direct light onto your center console. So that's definitely the one that you want to use. You are also going to want to use some resistors. Now, these specifically are a 1/4 watt 560 ohm resistor that I connected in line with the LED. I actually used a total of 2 resistors directly into the red side of the LED setup, and what that does is it just tones down some of the energy that goes to the LED, because by itself the light is really overbearing and too bright. Definitely not a fault of Oznium, but just from our project here, we want to make sure that it just casts a nice lower level light. So again, 2 resistors. You want to go ahead and purchase some Molex connectors, and this one right here is going to be your male, this is going to be your female, and all it really does is it just attaches to itself here just like such, and then you're able to simply disconnect it. Now, the reason why you want to use a couple of these Molexes is one end is going to go to the LED, and then you've got the other end that's going to attach to the power source from the overhead console. Now, in my testing, I had to remove it back and forth several times, and it was easy for me just to simply disconnect these rather than having it disconnected from the power supply each and every time. And just trust me on this, these Molex connectors make your life a whole lot easier. In addition, you are going to need an LED holder. It's this little guy here, and the way that it works is your LED essentially just goes right in here, just like such. I don't know how clearly you guys are going to be able to see it, but imagine the center console is up here. this holder will actually go into a hole that you put into your console so that the LED light itself will go in and cast the shadow coming down. Now, if you don't want to use one of these, what will happen is with the hole itself, the light field is just going to spread out too far. So this controls it much better. Now, once I get into the installation part or putting it together, I will show you exactly what you need to do. But if you guys could actually see, the end of the LED does come out quite a bit from the holder. You do not want to set it up like that just because the spread is going to be too far out. It actually needs to be recessed a little bit. The amount, it was more or less a trial and error, but I would probably say a good 1/8 of an inch that is recessed into the holder. And then the last thing that you want to use is just going to be some shrink wrap. And now the shrink wrap that I chose was 1/4 of an inch to about 1/8 of an inch. And what that does is it just allows you to kind of cover, or once you have soldered your connections together, you can go ahead and shrink wrap it just to make it really nice and neat. You could always use electrical tape. I just find it with this project, it just isn't very tidy. I ended up shrink wrapping it on top of the soldering that I did. So those are going to be the items that you're going to use. Molex connectors, a 5mm red, white, or whatever color you want to choose from the Ambient shining down. You're going to use the LED holder, and then a couple of resistors that's going to provide decent toning down of your LED. Alright guys, so to start, you need to remove this overhead console. I have somewhat dislodged this here so that you can see it actually is two separate pieces. You've got this black trim that is essentially the very top portion, and then you have an inner that houses all of the electronic components. So go ahead and use one of these plastic trim removers. You're going to just put it right in here, and all I did was just slightly twist it like such. And then you can kind of hold it and it'll pull together. Now, I already have my lights installed, and later on I'll show you what to do. Now at this point, you want to actually pull this unit out, and the way to do that is you can stick your hand in here and slightly pull down. You'll see these two pins are recessed, so the best thing is to probably try to push it forward a little bit and down. Now the front pins are very similar where they're going this way, so you'll grab it and then essentially just pull it down like this. Now you're able to see how this unit looks from the inside. What you want to go ahead and do is you're going to remove all the wirings that you can. It's going to be this wiring. You're going to remove this wire. If you guys can see it here, you're going to remove this red wire. And the last one, you want to go ahead and remove this piece here that controls the sunroof. So I'll go ahead and take care of that right now. Now I have this component completely removed. So you're looking at removing 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me go ahead and cover with you guys what wire you need to tap into. This wire right here is the one that actually attaches to the sunroof controller. There's a total of 4 different wires, and you want to tap into 2 of them. The ones that you want to tap into is blue, which is power, and then you've got a brown, which is going to be negative. and that's what I tapped in. I used these little small posi taps instead of cutting into the wire, so it's pretty nice and neat. Now these right here are the Molex connectors that I refer to in my parts section where you want to buy, and as you can tell, I had mentioned you could disconnect it as opposed to just connecting it directly here and having it hang. So it's nice if you ever need to service something, the whole unit will come off because you have the Molex connectors. Okay, so now that you have this part out of your car, I'm going to show you what you need to do in terms of drilling the holes. Now, flipping it to the side that is on the car side, these are the two holes that you want to put the LED holders into. Flipping it on the electronic side, you can go ahead and remove this here. Now, ideally, you want to measure two holes, one on each side that goes through both sides. You want to space it evenly, and you see how I did that right there? That's where your LED, here's my LED assembly that I made together, it's going to go down. Now, the holder in itself, it's actually going to go from this side up, and then the LED itself is going to go down like this here. Now, what I had told you guys is you do not want to stick the LED completely through the hole here because it casts such a wide spread that you do not want. You want something that's a little more targeted, so it's going to be, you want to push it down to maybe about 1/4 of an inch from this side here. So both LEDs, I'll put it together so that you guys can see. You'll connect it like such. Here's the little holes. You'll put these LEDs through here. And I'll go ahead and kind of detail out these LEDs. I connected the other end to a Molex connector. Both sides are going to sit like this. They'll connect right up into the electronic assembly. These two holes here will fit the LED light just like such. Now the hole in itself, these right here are 6 millimeter LEDs that goes into the housing, so it might be like a 7 or 8 millimeter, but just start out small and make it a little larger so that it'll fit. What you need to do, once the LED holder is flush into your panel, you want to super glue this side so that it has a nice hold onto the plate, so that way it doesn't pull out in any manner. So once again, this goes just like such. LED light will come right through here, and you are finished with this assembly that will go into the car. Alright, so we'll go ahead and put everything back together again. I went ahead and just simply worked in reverse order, attached all these items here. Little clips. Earlier I had told you guys that the front has these. I was incorrect to say that. Only the very back has it. The front has these little clips here. And before you put it in, you want to connect your LED connectors. Turn on your lights just to make sure that the lights work before you button everything up and put it all back together. Once you've tested and confirmed that everything works, go ahead and just simply put it up in the back like this, and then push this unit back up and you are set. This is what the ambient lighting looks like on the center console. As you can tell, it adds a really nice glow. Let me go ahead and just block the lights. You don't see it anymore. And now you see the glow. Now that the project is complete, I hope that you guys were able to successfully complete the project. If for some reason you have questions or concerns, you can go ahead and post down below. Any comments, I will go ahead and reply back to you and help you as best as you can. Now, if you were able to successfully complete it, congratulations. It's definitely a project that is well worth the trouble. If you like my videos, please subscribe and feel free to share them. Once again, this is Peter, your Audi S3 Fanatic, signing off.